Hey guys, welcome to the Magfed Ranch Paintball channel, and today I'm going to be doing a Magfed myth busting video. But before I get into it guys, subscribe to this channel, smash that like button, share, and comment. Okay guys, let's get into it. So the topic of today's Magfed myth busting is are the MCS conversion kits, like their Hurricane or Vortex, right? Hurricane, I'm assuming, or Vortex kits, reliable, work, are they good MagFed conversion kits that you guys should be looking at? And then also I wanted to add, a kind of just another add-on on top of that is, are the MCS lineups of markers, MagFed reliable and MagFed compatible, all those things as well too, guys. And so that's what I'm going to be discussing today. And then of course I'm going to be comparing it with a couple of markers. But I also have these markers out here for a reason too, guys. These T15 base style of markers for you guys. So let's get into it. Yeah, so let's talk about the conversion kits real quick. I know one of someone that viewed my video asked the question if the Hurricane kits from MCS, if I would recommend them. And once again, guys, there's got to be a caveat or I guess a criteria before I answer my yes or no. Okay, guys. And as always, as you guys know, me, this channel, my company, obviously, what we're trying to promote here at Magfed Ranch Paintball is first strike shooting Magfed markers, okay, guys? And so it has to be able to fire first strikes and reliably fire first strikes, okay? So with that, obviously particular now, right? Obviously with that criteria now for you guys, my answer is no, unfortunately. And so let me explain why. And this is kind of the reason why I have all these markers out here for you guys. So I'm actually very familiar with RAP4 MCS's products, guys. I started playing MagFed paintball right around the time when their T68 was kind of going. This was a good 8-9 years ago. The T68 I think was on its second or third generation when I started playing. And like I said, the 468 was just starting to come out. I remember, Omar Macy, right? I met the gentleman when I went down to California to play, and I know, they were developing the 468 with his, obviously with his help. I don't know how much. I know he was really involved in it. I don't know how much, if he designed all of it or they helped him. But anyways, like I said, that was kind of the time period when I started getting into MagFed paintball. Okay, guys. So kind of right before then, and then like I said, a year or two in is kind of when the 468 was starting to become released. Okay, guys. And so my team and I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to make any lies out there, guys. I want to be brutally honest with you guys on this channel. And we weren't sponsored by MCS or RAP4 at the time, okay, guys? They started out as RAP4, and then they changed their name to MCS, okay? We were not sponsored by them, but I was a really good customer of theirs. I started playing MagFed paintball, and I remember I initially bought like their 43 caliber marker, the one that, they were, I think, promoting with Real Action Paintball. I think that's kind of where they got their whole RAP4 name from. And then that didn't really work out that well, guys. It wasn't very reliable. It had like air leak issues. I remember the first generation of like 43 caliber, Real Action Paintball markers that I got from them, like the Glock style markers. Those were really unreliable. They always had like leaking and O-ring issues. And anyways, they had a lot of issues, guys. So, I transitioned to the T68, and for the most part, the T68 was kind of like a Mil-Sig knockoff. I remember there was like this whole thing with Rap4 and Milsig back in the day. If I don't know if like there was copyright issues or anything like that, but like I said, I'm trying to explain to you guys the history, so that reason why I give the my reasons on why I don't recommend these products. Okay, guys. And so we got into the T68. The T68 worked with normal round ball paintball, not too bad, guys. This was still in the early phase of Magfed paintball as well too, and so we were all still trying to figure out what type of paintballs worked well with Magfeds, right? Because the shell typically was very soft. These were for hopper-fed markers, but of course, right? So they wanted soft shells. They didn't want something that was going to be harder to break if you hit somebody. They wanted it to break easily, so that way people would be called out. But with a Magfed marker, right, the spring pressure, the spring tension on a very soft shell paintball will damage it, will break it, will kind of in essence squish it over time, just sitting inside the magazine, sitting inside your marker. And then of course, when it squishes and now it's not perfectly circle anymore, you're going to have feeding issues. And so although the T68 worked really well with just normal round ball, we were still trying to figure out which paintballs worked really well with our Magfed markers. And then of course, when Tiberius released their first strike rounds, right, guys? I remember this was all around the same time as, Tiberius had their T4, I think their T8 line of pistols. I think they had just collaborated with the FN, right? The FN 303 marker, a less lethal system. So yeah, I mean that this was a little bit predating that FN 303, but like I said, the first strike rounds were just starting to get released around that time as well too, guys. And so I started looking into, well, shoot, how can I, get our markers, our team's markers, to work with first strike rounds. Okay, guys? And even before then, we were trying to get all of our team onto Magfed paintball, guys. This is like I said, this is kind of the early days of Magfed paintball when people were not playing 100% Magfed yet. I don't know, a lot of you guys remember, but we were playing with like our Tippmann A5s or our Tippmann X7s, and we were using like those little just kind of small hopper pods or little hopper caps where they would only hold 40 rounds, because it's literally like just a little small pod on top of your hopper adapter. Or of course we were just using a very small little hopper, right, that was only holding like 50 round balls in there, right? So we wanted to play like this limited ammo of gameplay, and our markers, of course, we were modifying like our A5s, our X7s to resemble like real steel rifles, right? We were making them look like MP5s. I remember our A5s would look like MP5s. Our X7s would look like, H&K 91s, I think is kind of what they resemble, right? Or SCARs, I guess, the FN SCAR. They look very similar to the MaxTac, the TGR, right, style of markers. This was also kind of around the same time too. The TGR marker was being released as well too. And so, you started having all of these Magfed markers becoming available, and for the most part they worked with round ball okay, but we'll get into it now. Why I don't recommend these markers is because they never really worked with first strike rounds, guys. And so I remember modifying my T68 to use the MaxTac. I don't think they were called MaxTac back then. They probably called just the TGR. But I was modifying them to try and use the Scarab Arms magazines, so that way it would take the first strike rounds. And like I said, guys, therein lies most of the problems. Was just the magazines and the feeding style with these markers that didn't work. Okay, and then of course, like I said, let's get into the conversion kits now. We started when the conversions kits started coming out. We were like, great. We had all our team had all these A5s, maybe one X7 I remember, but we had these markers now that we can convert with these Takamo conversion kits that RAP4 MCS was selling to make them Magfed markers. And so, like I was telling you guys in another video, I was like the armorer on my team because obviously I'm an automotive technician. That's that's my profession. And so I was able to obviously work with tools, take our A5 markers and convert all of them to Magfed markers. And this is a prototype, guys. I'll get into the story of this here in a little bit, but I converted all of our A5s, because if you remember, the A5 airline system was right here in the center of the marker, and it would go down and attach into the bottom of the grip. And so you would attach the bottle here, but RAP4 MCS also sold the kind of like the air-through conversion for the buttstock adapter. And so we did that with all our markers. So in essence, what we did initially was we modified all of our A5s to become Magfed. But the problem with that is, once again, we just couldn't get them to work with first strike capability. Like, they just wouldn't work because of the magazine designs, guys. We tried modifying them to use the D mags. We tried to use the Scarab Arms mags, but just the magazine design, it won't work with first strikes. You would either get jams, typically jams, because of the magazine just not having the correct size hole. There's too many edges. Like I told you guys with the magazines, if there's any type of edge that the first strike round can catch on, it's going to catch on it. And then, of course, the complexity of the system, if it's like the 468, where it has like the lock bolt, the anti-drop chamber, just more stuff to get in the way of the first strike round loading properly. Let's get into this marker real quick. This was kind of obviously the precursor to their Hurricane and Vortex kits, guys. But this was more of after that. This was the precursor to kind of the Stormer marker, as you guys can see. It looks very close to the Stormer marker. I don't know if they sold this design to Tippmann, but my team was given this prototype to try out. It's got some pretty cool features on it, guys. It has a lock bolt mechanism right here, this little white thing right here. It will get pushed aside if there's a round inside the chamber, and then at that point, it will allow, if you guys see here, it will allow the bolt to go forward. But you'll notice if it's not pushed out of the way, the bolt won't go forward, okay? And so that white thing right there is literally just a spring-loaded blocking plate that just slides in and out. And when a ball is in there, it'll push outwards and it'll allow the bolt to slide through. They obviously planned it for first strike. I don't know if you can really see there, but if you look inside the chamber, there's a first strike cutout. But like I said, guys, once again, my problem with MCS, my problem with, their products as a whole is just they have good designs in theory. They say, okay, hey, these are the things that should make it work with first strike. And in testing, under, I guess, ideal conditions, it seems to work okay with first strike. But I don't think they really put it through a very harsh series of trials to see if it'll shoot first strikes reliably all the time, right? They're not putting thousands of rounds through this marker to see if it's going to be reliable first strike. They're not putting thousands of rounds through their conversion kits. They're not putting thousands of rounds through their magazines to see all the different failures that their magazine will cause or potentially will cause. And so, like I said, we could never get these markers to work with first strike. Now, the reason why I didn't shoot a not Magfed worthy video, guys, is because it works with normal round ball. Their markers work fairly well. I wouldn't say the best, but they work fairly well with round ball paintball. But like I'm telling you guys, my whole thing is shooting first strike rounds. I think that's the future of our sport. that's where we need to continue pushing. That's where the envelope we need to keep pushing, because that's the performance that's going to showcase these markers. That's going to give us the realism that people that want to play with markers that look like real rifles want to play. The accuracy, right? Being able to take that target out at long distances and accurate shots at long distances. Okay, guys? And now, that being said, like I said, the conversion kit worked really well. I don't know if a lot of you guys out there remember, but I used to play with one of their conversion kits even when our team got into first strike rounds, because we moved on to, the 4.68. They were okay with first strike rounds from time to time, but I will be honest with you, when our team finally transitioned from the conversion kits, and then we ended up picking up the 4.68s when they first came out. Initially, they worked okay with just the DMAG and no lock bolt, no anti-drop ball chamber. They worked okay, but they still weren't like, let's just say this, they weren't 80% reliable all the time with first strike. I would say they were probably, on the field testing, they were probably like 40 to 50%, half of the time reliable. Now, in like target shooting, just shooting around without, under stress or knocking the marker around, they were, like I said, 80% reliable, a little bit more reliable, but just not reliable enough to be considered a viable option to play Magfed paintball with first strike rounds. Okay, guys, but even when my whole team was decked out with the 4.68, and I was still rocking the Tacamo conversion kit on an A5 marker, guys. I don't know if you guys remember, but I was the guy that was playing with the A5 SAW conversion kit with RAP4 or MCS's box mag. I was one of the first few to really get the box mag to work. And the box mag worked really well, guys. They were kind of fragile. You really couldn't beat on them, meaning that if you took a hard hit on that thing was gonna break. It was, not a very strong plastic. But like I said, if you were fairly careful with it, I wasn't babying my equipment, but I didn't go like, smash the box mag onto the ground. But if you obviously kept it clean, and if the key was the batteries, on the box magazine, if you make sure that the batteries were always charged, the 9-volt batteries that they required you to use were always fully charged, and a high amperage battery, they worked well. They worked really well. Like that SAW capability gave our team a really good advantage, because you were able to lay down this suppressive fire while your team could flank, move, and take out the enemy with their first strike rounds when they were working. Okay, guys? But yeah, so just on a reliability standpoint, guys, that's why I don't recommend the 4.68 or the Tacamo conversion kits. They just aren't reliable with first strike rounds. But if you guys want to try them with normal round ball, great. Okay? All right, let's move on to why I have the T15 markers on here, guys. First off, I wanted to give you guys kind of a sneak peek. I wanted to give you guys kind of some Magfed marker porn here. This is our coming up new marker. It's the Honey Badger clone marker, guys. Really sick marker. Check out a accuracy shooting review and a tabletop review coming to you guys in the near future. Right? I kind of hinted at this marker on one of our other videos, right? But sweet looking marker. And then of course we have our Gordon carbine clone marker here for you guys. Now, the reason why I have these two markers on here, guys, is to showcase you guys another reason why I just don't 100% trust the MCS lineup of products all the time. And so you guys will notice here that these two markers have suppressors on it, okay? So our Honey Badger marker clone has a suppressor from MCS, and so does our Gordon carbine marker. Okay, guys? Let me screw this one off here for you guys. But this is the thing, guys. these are both Reaper. This is their Reaper model marker. Okay? The one off of the Gordon carbine rifle marker that I did a review on this one for you guys. You'll notice that it says RAP4 Tactical on here. Obviously, it's their older, it's an older version because it still has their RAP4 name on it. But this is the original version that I got a while back, and this is their new version. Can you guys see the difference? You'll notice that one is thicker than the other. The original one is thicker than the other. And like I said, the original one has an etching on it, right? So it actually has wording and name on it. But here's the key, guys. Besides just the cosmetic looks, the original one's a little bit beefer, a little bit heavier than the new one. The new one is just not threaded properly. It threads down onto the barrel, okay? But as you will see here, I'll try to do my best to show you guys. It's very slight, but if you can see here, I'll come up close to you guys. You'll see that it's pointed to your guys' right, my left. So it's not centered. Okay, so then when they went to go, do the threads on the suppressor, it's not centered. At least not on the Gordon carbine marker. Okay? But on the honey badger marker, okay guys, you can kind of see it rotating it as it goes down. It's actually straight. And so, I'll prove it to you guys one of these days, but I've already proven it to myself because I've zeroed both of these markers at 20 yards with the different suppressors. Okay, guys? And with their new version, it was all off on the Gordon carbine marker. When I shot it with the Gordon carbine marker, I was trying to figure out for the damnedest why it kept shooting to the right. I kept on adjusting my zero to the left, and it just wouldn't adjust. And it's because the marker, the suppressor was unfortunately curved that way. Right? But you notice here, the old version is completely straight. Same thing with when you screw the old version onto the honey badger marker, okay guys? And so when I originally had zeroed the honey badger at 20 yards with the original suppressor, the original Reaper suppressor, it zeroed fine. And so I was like, why are the two different versions, something wrong with them? What's going on? Why they look different, first off, okay? And so, like I said, I'm not going to go into it too much, guys, in terms of the zeroing, but that's another reason why I just can't put my seal of approval on, on the MCS product lineup. There's always these quality control issues, whether it's reliability, whether it's, fit and finish, whether it's longevity, whether it's, just a little bit off so it's going to cause some issue. It's always that, it's always something, right? And so after a while, you try to make it work so long, right? You try to do so many things to make it work out, and it just doesn't work out. Now, I'm pushing for this company, guys. This is not a hit piece on MCS. I like the guys over there. You know what I'm saying? They don't owe me anything. I don't owe them anything. I'm just trying to tell you guys the truth about the products that I test and what works and what doesn't work, because like I was trying to tell you guys, this sport can be super expensive. These equipment, all these products will be super expensive. Last thing you want to do is spend hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars, and then it doesn't work out for you. I want to give this feedback to you, not only you guys as a community, so that way you guys don't get bit, like I did, but also I want to give it as a feedback to the manufacturers out there if they're listening, so that way they can improve upon their products, right? Put more time, put more research, put more development into what you're trying to make. If you're saying that it works with first strike rounds, then ensure that it works at least 99.9% of the time, right? We should be able to shoot, good Lord, we should be able to shoot at least 5,000 rounds through the marker before it has one failure. Or God, you know, at least, how about at least 2 loadouts, right? You know, imagine if you had 1 failure with every loadout. That's kind of, you know, ridiculous, right? I would love to have at least, like, you know, like I said, get some testing where we can shoot that many rounds without a failure. I think that's what we should be pushing for. But anyways, guys, if you guys like that video, subscribe to the channel, smash that like button. Check you guys next time. Peace.